Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Delt Day of Giving. We're in the middle of talking about the generations of impact, and as we start talking about how we are expanding some of these programmings out, we need to talk a little bit about where we see the fraternity going here in the next couple of years, especially as we continue to recruit more men and retain more men, and being able to meet some of those demands. So we have Jack Creeman, our CEO, here to talk a little bit about the all things growth related with the fraternity and give us some insights of where we are going in the next 3 to 5 years. So, Jack, thank you so much for being here with us today. And I can't wait to dive in a little bit more with you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thanks for having me out. And just for everyone listening, we really appreciate all the support today, making this our most successful day of giving ever.
100%. We can't thank you all enough. Well, Jack, as we start talking about recruitment, to start us off, can you give us a quick overview of where Delta Tau Delta stands today in terms of growth and recruitment?
Absolutely. So, as we've talked about in other forums, we have really weathered and survived a lot of the trials and tribulations of the last few years. Obviously, COVID was a big shock to higher education, to our chapters, and moving through that, there was a lot of change, particularly on those campuses. And so I'm proud to say that last year we saw excellent growth. We logged in with about 7.5 to 8% growth between 23, 24 and the year before. And then this year we're looking at 5% again. So we're fairly confident that we'll end this year at roughly 9,200 active members across our 131 chapters in 39 states, which would be as high as we've been since pre-COVID. So, and a little bit higher, as a matter of fact. So we're excited to see that our men are out there messaging well, recruiting well, and just putting Delt back to where it was after all of those shocks that we all endured 4 or 5 years ago.
And so, what are some of the biggest trends you're seeing in fraternity recruitment across the nation right now?
Well, a couple I'll throw at you, some macro trends. One of the things that we really keying in on our campus site selection, and we are seeing some real difficulties and struggles with those campuses you might identify as a regional private school or as a regional public school. As the major flagship institutions, those brand names, those Power Five conference institutions continue to grow, and your elite tier one private institutions continue to grow, they're pulling students from what would typically be a base that would feed into those regional schools. So for the future, Delt's positioning itself to ensure that we're at the right campuses, that we're growing in those spaces and trying and putting and deploying resources to shore up those chapters where we already have our flag. I think kind of more at the micro level, we're seeing very robust interest in membership. I think this has come out of a fact that a lot of our guys are coming of age, as we all experienced when we were in college. But the men now are really looking for that connection, that interpersonal connection that maybe they didn't have because of COVID or because technology has changed to the degree that it has. And so our groups, our chapters are feeding this growth nationwide because they're able to reach out, give these prospective members that sense of connection and belonging that oftentimes they've had very little of or sometimes not at all. And so for those reasons, we're really bullish on the future as well. The product is still very valid and relevant.
I couldn't agree with you more. And so, why do you think it's so important that we do adapt to these trends?
Well, I think it's one of the things that the fraternity does the best. I've talked with some of our leadership about how maddening and frustrating it can be that we have 131 groups across the country that all do things a little different. I mean, they all got the Delt flavor. You certainly would know their Delts when you walk into their house, but they all do it a little bit differently. And sometimes that can be a real challenge as we're deploying initiatives or deploying future programs. On the other hand, I think it's that diversity. I think it's that distribution, that federalism that has really made us the institution that we've been able to be. So you have to be flexible in order to survive two world wars. You have to be successful to survive a depression. Now, two pandemics, one in the early 20th century and one just a few years ago. And I think that's because our groups are very responsive at the local level. We give them the framework, we let their creative energy and their talent and their wisdom mold their local campus environment. And so while again, uh, We know what Delta Tau Delta is at the core. We remain consistent on the front line. That is, our guys that are out there are rising to the challenges. And I think that challenges that come in the future will be no exception. Our guys will adapt, they'll adopt, and they'll make Delta Tau Delta look different, but still relevant even 170 years after it was founded.
You said it perfectly. I think the one thing we can all agree upon is that Delts adapt best. So, how does that on ground support, so such as your chapter consultants or maybe it's central office staff going out and visiting some of the chapters in their shelters or on their campuses, play a role in helping those students succeed in recruitment and retention?
Going back 4 or 5 years ago, it was really difficult to get that on the ground, in your face support that our chapters needed. Guys weren't able to travel. It was harder to recruit consultants just because of a lot of what was going on with pandemic and other things. And so we have very intentionally rebuilt the consultant program, starting with a couple very sharp individuals a few years ago, but building that back out. And really, what we have seen is there's nothing that can replace that one-on-one interaction, sitting in the lounge or in the cafeteria or in the chapter hall and talking through with a treasurer his receivables issue, or talking with a new member educator about how he can best train and position his younger guys to be the leaders of the future, working with the president as he tries to guide through that strategy. So uh, people in 2025, talent is expensive. It's hard to find good people. It's hard to keep good people. And so we've been just really blessed by a lot of the donors vis-a-vis the educational foundation that have made it possible for us to both recruit and retain really high quality recent graduates into our consultant program, which then in turn makes our officers more effective, our chapters more effective, and for that man that comes and joins us on his campus, just gets a better experience because we're able to perfect it through those really talented and ambitious young men.
Now, you mentioned the support that our donors are providing. And one of the other things that comes to mind that our donors have made possible is our partnership with Fired Up. Can you briefly tell us a little bit about what Fired Up is, how it's providing support to our members, and why it's important that we expand this kind of recruitment coaching to support even more chapters out there?
So at the high level, Fired Up is a partner of ours, and we've been an early partner with them. They've started in the early 2000s and have really grown their business. The core of their business is just teaching people how to connect with other people and ask them to join the organization, whether that's a fraternal organization or a non-fraternal organization. At its core, though, Fired Up is sweet spot has always been fraternity and sorority, and so they are the industry leaders and the experts. We've deployed their resources to help amplify our reach, to be able to give some chapters coaching, some more ongoing, consistent, long-term coaching in their facility at times, sometimes on virtual methods, working one-on-one with that director of recruitment. And what that has enabled them to do is teach and learn those skills. So recruiting itself is not highly technical, but there are some technical aspects that need to be taught. It's not intuitive how to work a funnel. It's not intuitive to run a pipeline. And so you teach those skills amongst the backdrop of those soft skills that frankly are good in a fraternity house, but are also good post graduation for our men to learn and adopt. So in some ways, what we're doing obviously is teaching our men to recruit the next generation of men. But I think at a higher level, what we're teaching them are those soft skills, those social skills that will help them excel and stand out amongst their peers when they graduate and enter into the job market. Fired Up has positioned its program so that our educational foundation donors and the foundation grant making process can support that. And so we really position it in that life skill so that our donors can help support that. And I suspect as I hear or I'm talking to some of the folks that are listening today, they know finding that recent graduate who's technically able to do the job, but also has that social skills that he can influence, persuade, and work with a team is kind of that gold standard right now. And so we're just helping our people out there that are trying to find the best look toward Delt first.
And, through my time as a chapter consultant and even in the foundation role, some of our directors recruitment are phenomenal when they come out of their graduate experience or their undergraduate experience because they have those soft skills that they have been provided with. and they're standing out in some of those, interviews. We even heard that from Joey Barris earlier. But I know we mentioned the expansion of these materials a little bit. Where do you exactly see the fraternity going in the next 3 to 5 years? I know you talked about what number we hope to hit next year, but what is your vision?
So we got a bold vision. We want to continue to grow in the mid 20 teens. Delta Tau Delta eclipsed the 10,000 member mark. We are reaching 10,000 students a year. We're on the cusp of that. We've got an ambitious goal by our next convention, Carnia 2026, Scottsdale, Arizona, first weekend in August, to hit that goal and to celebrate together as a membership. But really, that membership goal is just a part of a larger vision. We want to make sure that our men are entering into an organization that justifies having that level of membership. So we're really focused on growth, but not for growth's sake. We're focused on growth so that we can reach more men, we can teach more men, we can develop more of these young men. And so buttressing that effort, we have engaged and are launching in the near future a robust alumni engagement strategy, because we know being a Delt isn't just useful for 4 or 5 years, it's got value for the entire lifetime. And so we need to provide better opportunities for our men post-graduation to engage, develop, learn, connect, all of those things that we do so well on the college campus. We're also looking toward helping the next generation. We know that costs of college continue to grow. Our men are becoming more discerning customers. The attitude and appetite for debt is rapidly changing within our students. And so we know they're going to be more cost conscious. So in order to continue to recruit the best men, provide access not just for those with means, but all men of character, we've got to work with our alumni to help resource. And that's why things like this Day of Giving are so important. The capital campaign we just concluded, any capital campaigns we will initiate in the future, because all of those dollars that we receive so thankfully from our alumni go directly back to our students so that they can have a great experience, develop, learn, and pass Delta Tau Delta on to the next generation.
Well, Jack, let's keep that same train of thought going. If you could leave students, alumni, our friends, our supporters with one reason why investing in recruitment and chapter growth matters, what would you say to them?
I think each one of us was taught from the very beginning recruitment is the lifeblood of the organization. Without recruitment, there is no organization. We talk with our young men, particularly the newest guys that come in, they're the future keystone. They're the leaders. They're the ones that hold the organization up. And so if Delta Tau Delta had a meaningful impact on your life as it did mine, as I know it did on yours, Andrew, then we really do need to invest in that recruitment, in that social skills. And I think there is no way to pay it back. I can't go back to the altar of my initiation in 2001 and pay any of those guys back. The best I can do is pay it forward. And the best thing I can do for that is help support growing the next generation of Delts, getting the resources that our guys can use to make that happen so that my children, grandchildren, and hopefully beyond can have that opportunity to put on the purple and gold of fraternity long after I've entered the chapter eternal. And so pay it forward if because you receive much, also give to those who follow.
And Jack, I'm so excited to say that we're actually debuting a new fund this Delt Day of Giving. It's the Growth and Development Fund. And so if recruitment support or ensuring that we're giving our members the premier tools and resources needed to be successful in recruitment and retention, consider making that gift to that fund. You can find it in the drop down menu on your donation page. It should be one of the top three. But we'd love to have your support in making that possible so we can continue to grow the crescent that is Delta Tau Delta. Well, Jack, thank you again for taking the time to talk with us a little bit today. And I can't wait to see us hit that big number by the time the next Carnia comes around.
Oh, and I know with the men that we have in our chapters, there is no impediment, no obstacle to our progress too large that we won't be able to do it. And likewise today, with the generosity that I've already seen from our alumni, from our members out there, I know that great things ahead are for Delta Tau Delta. So just appreciate the time, Andrew, and appreciate everyone out there that takes a moment and makes a gift for Delt's Day of Giving 2025.
All right, Jack. Well, we will talk to you later.
Thanks, y'all. Have a great day.
All right, everyone. Well, you heard it best from Jack. We are seeing exponential growth in this fraternity, and we can't wait to see it, continue to expand. And all of you are making that possible. I just heard that we have received 77 gifts for a grand total of over $15,376. And all of that continues to support some of these resources that is going to enable our chapters and our men to continue to grow and thrive. If you are considering making that gift, once again, I just want to plug deltsgive.org or clicking the link in any of our social media posts, your emails, wherever you may have seen it before, or even going to delts.org. We're going to be back at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to continue talking about the generations of impact. We heard from one of our, I will call them our present attendees of our programming. That was Joey talking about PresX. But we're going to be talking about Compass and some of those pieces there, whether it be Outward Bound, Give to Grow Live. But we're also going to be hearing from one of our past participants and how attending the Expedition Academy actually impacted his life and why it's so important to continue providing this high standard of leadership and educational opportunities to our men. But we'll see you back here at noon, and can't wait to chat more.